This is going to be a very interesting story to watch over the next 24 hours or so. To no one's surprise, Sean Strickland did a media day today in advance of the UFC Fight Night card on Saturday. Now, what is not going to strike anyone is this guy went off in every imaginable offensive direction you could possibly imagine. If you remember all of the controversy in the lead up to his fight with Dricus du Plessis here in Toronto, this was that times 10. He totally dumped on the Gina Carano Ronda Rousey fight, just every insult you could imagine about women was uttered. He referred to Bad Bunny as the F word. He's dropping the R word, the words I am not going to repeat here. Like, I listened to this clip. I was not even going to play it here because it's gross. It is Sean Strickland's kind of, like, this is his MO. So I know, he's doing exactly what you want him to do by gaining this attention, but this will be like, this is already blowing up fairly big. Variety already is covering this. It's a really ugly, like, 3-minute compilation of just all this stuff of how women have ruined society, sports that have become gay, exactly what you would imagine if you have not heard this. But this is going to be like the first interesting test, and I'm not necessarily expecting CBS to say anything about this. It is only going to be interesting if this gains any kind of traction and there is any kind of pressure on this, because from CBS's vantage point, like, this is what they were signing up for. You cannot play, this is buyer beware. You knew exactly what you were spending money on, and Sean Strickland has been a feature to the UFC, not a bug, over these last number of years. So it will only be interesting because ESPN was largely crickets when this stuff went down in their era. Now it's not ESPN's problem. Now it's CBS's problem, and we'll see. I think it will be a story tomorrow. I don't know if it's going to be much more of anything. Everyone can predict what Dana White's reaction will be, and I don't imagine there will be any apologies on behalf of the UFC or Sean Strickland here. But I'm more so curious to see if there's any pressure levied on CBS and if they are forced to address this at all, or if this will just be our free speech debate that will generate out of all of this. But it was just something.
How could it not be, something that they would allow after what they've said? There's no way they could censor him now. They'd be considered hypocrites, right? They have to let this man say whatever he wants. That's sort of what the rules that they've set for themselves, right?
Who is they? CBS
UFC.
Or UFC? Oh, UFC is not going to do anything about this. Like, UFC is just like, this is the point I had raised back at the time, was the difference of this guy doing this online or in an interview versus a UFC event where you're up there. Like, this guy is stating all of this with the UFC and Paramount Plus logos right behind him. Like, this is a UFC CBS / Paramount Plus event itself. And man, this clip is already circulating everywhere. And like, it's just hate speech. Like, that's what it is here. And that is going to be like, this is going to be the free speech debate that it always comes out of but ultimately it is like, what do you as an organization, and this being Paramount Skydance, like, what do you stand for? And my guess is going to be they will stand for this, and we will see if anything else, if there's any other kind of response to this from the CBS side of things.
Yeah, personally speaking, at this point, like, it's not like I think you could tarnish Sean Strickland or the UFC's reputation any further. Of course, he's free to say what he wants on that platform that the UFC is allowing him. Even sure, why not?
But this will be a culture.
But I have my choice in choosing whether or not I ever want to see another UFC fight, and this is only digging that hole further. I choose absolutely.
This has turned a lot of people off because it's like, by watching, it's like, this is the stuff I am endorsing by just following this stuff. But this comes at the same time that Stephen Colbert got pressure and couldn't have a politician on his show the other night. And so you want to play the free speech game, then it goes both ways here. And here is a network that ended up forcing Stephen Colbert to put this interview on YouTube instead of on broadcast television. And then here, this guy is going to be featured on our streaming service on Saturday night in the main event.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that's a different, like, what is their justification for that? The fact that they're not giving equal platform to the other side, isn't that part of the reason why?
That's the concern that CBS would have had here, but it's not one of which has ever been applied for talk shows, nor has it even been stated that Stephen Colbert would not have his political opponent on the show either.
Okay. So I'm only bringing it up because it is a different story. Like, yes, it all concerns maybe the topic of free speech, but in the debate, maybe that has to be brought up. This is gross. Just hearing about it. I mean, I don't even want to listen to it myself, but just seeing some of these headlines, I'll say, I think it's good promotion for Carano versus Rousey. Like, this is actually going to make somebody probably want to watch that fight more to spite this person. Now we're also talking about, like, especially Gina Carano, who probably, like, I'd love to hear her response.
Jake Paul as well. I mean, Jake Paul, like 2 weeks ago, is calling Bad Bunny's just catching it from everybody here. Who was
sorry? What did Strickland say about Jake Paul?
No, Strickland called him the F word multiple times over because the topic came out about him performing at the Super Bowl, and then you had, like, Jake Paul's comments about Bad Bunny in advance of the Super Bowl.
Sure, yeah, okay. So they both attacked Bad Bunny, is what you're saying.
Both of them did, yes.
Got it. Yeah,
yes.
I more so meant, like, him saying this stuff about Rousey and Carano for like, maybe a lot of people didn't even know about that fight happening. They kind of will now, and they will probably want to support that fight again, just to maybe spite this guy and this company. But again, it's just kind of amusing because we're talking about Gina Carano, who, like, maybe stood for more of this type of free speech. And I'd love to hear maybe her response to it, if any, and Ronda's to this. But it's giving that fight more publicity than I think maybe the UFC would probably want. But it's such a bad look for them. At the same time, it's like, this is sort of like the natural progression of, like, the sort of community that they've fostered, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, this is not something like this is out of left field, and for the UFC, they have kind of made this their brand where, like, again, I don't think they're going to get any resistance from CBS, a company that's paying them $7.7 billion for this deal, and understanding the audience it is attracting and what kind of sport that the UFC has positioned itself as over the last 6 years. And sponsor-wise, like, UFC has not shown any aversion, like they are going to kowtow to whatever their sponsors are. And quite frankly, like, the sponsors that they are acquiring are, like, to my guess, like, are not going to be the types that are going to push back on stuff like this. And those are the pressure points that these companies have. It's your network partner and it's your sponsors, and fans are way down the list in terms.
But that's not, I don't think that's really true, especially when you're talking about a subscription service that this entire thing is reliant on. Fans have the option to cancel their subscription service to Paramount if they are that offended. They have the option to not support any of the sponsors that are sponsoring this product if they are that offended by it.
Resist and unsubscribe.
Yeah. No, yes. I think it especially applies to this.
Well, keep your eyes open, because I'm curious how much of a story this will be in the next day or two, if it gains traction beyond that. February on the Post Wrestling Cafe, we continue our review of Season 2 of WWE Unreal, including a big look at Seth Rollins' fake injury, which culminated in his appearance at SummerSlam. We're going to be looking back at Shinya Hashimoto with a special career retrospective on Rewind Away, plus a review of Extreme Rules 2011, as John Cena announces to the WWE audience that Osama bin Laden has been compromised to a permanent end. We'll also take a look at New Beginning in Osaka, TNA No Surrender, and new members can take advantage of a 7-day free trial. Go to postwrestlingcafe.com and jump on board in February.